guys, so like, I typically, a lot of times I try to put up one video that's going to be more of a commentary, serious topic. I've kind of just been getting my bearings down with this channel. And then I like to do a video where I just kind of free talk and I find a subject and kind of throw some things out there and get some insight from you guys. And there's something I want to talk about that lately has been really bothering me. And it's something I've been processing and I've been thinking about. And if you saw the title of this video, I want you to understand I used to be a really fearless person. Like, I would just go anywhere, do anything, like I really had this fearless attitude about life. But the older I've gotten and the more I've been around people, specifically men, the more that part of me is more guarded and shut down. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because I had to learn what the pitfalls were and how to protect myself. And that's a good thing. But I wanted to ask this of other women, and I don't want to go into the uber super feminist thing, where all men are awful, because that's not it, not all men. But I have a consistent problem with the majority, not all, but the majority of the male friends I've had in my life. And I want to ask women if you guys have had the same issue. Do you guys have issues with your male friends overstepping boundaries and assuming things from you? I've had this issue throughout my life, and it took me a long time to understand it, because when men want physical gratification from you, they will play all kinds of head games. They will act like your best friend. They will act like they're there from you. Or if they want a relationship with you, if they want more from you than what they know you're willing to give them, and they will do all these manipulative games, and they're kind of convinced in some way that all I have to do is wait it out and this girl will come around, right? When they have no knowledge and they have no signals on whether or not you even reciprocate. It really bothers me, because it's happened to me repeatedly, and honestly, it makes me feel very unsafe around men. Let me explain what I mean. I don't walk around terrified of men. I'm still myself. I'm pretty outgoing, and I talk to people, and I like to kind of be a little bouncing ball of sunshine. Again, this is all stuff you guys don't fully know about me, because you haven't fully got to see that part of me. You saw the part of me sick in chaos, and now the part that's recovering from being sick, and trying to work on myself and trying to be better. But it's not that I have this irrational fear, right? I'm scared to let men in as a friend or otherwise. I'm terrified of men. Like, I did this prediction video. If you didn't see it, go see it. I think it's kind of cute. I made some predictions, and one of them might be coming true already for 2021, which is very exciting. But I said that I feel like I might meet somebody this year, and I don't see how that would happen because of my situation, like somebody to date. And it seems like there's zero chance of that happening, because for me to do that, I would need to get on my own. And there are so many things for me to go be independent that for me to be independent in my world, I'm going to have to make the impossible possible. I'm going to have to get wealthy, have a lot of money coming in, and have a life that's structured so that when I need help, I can have emergency medical help come to me when I need it. That is not cheap. Or I might have to have live-in help because of my situation. And the truth is, I have at least, I would say, 6 to 8 months on the low end to go before I really start seeing more and more improvements in my health. This is a journey, and this takes time. Remember, guys, normal doctors said I will not really get much better, maybe a little more functioning, and that's it. And I have come worlds further because I didn't listen to it. And I came up with my own plan that worked for me by listening to my body, going with my intuition, and doing what I knew was right for myself. And thus far, fingers crossed, it's been working. But one thing that I've really been thinking about and processing as I'm really taking more and more steps, and I've always been taking steps, but I'm really hyper-focused this year on getting out, giving roommate his life back, and being able to get independent, right? I have this nagging feeling I might meet somebody, and I don't care. I'm not that woman who's wanting to meet the guy. Do you know what I mean? I like close friendships, close relationships. I'm not saying that I don't. Who doesn't like love and connection and that sort of thing? But it's not a focus. I have my focus, my laser focus is on my health, and then my finances and my career, and building around that as I can. So those are really where my focuses are. And as I've been taking these steps forward, I have been processing things in my past and in my life, and realizing how many men I thought were my friends, who were parading around like my friends, actually had feelings for me or wanted something sexually from me, and I didn't know it, and they mistreated me as a result and gaslit me and made me feel like it was my fault. This has happened so often to me, and had bad relationships, friendships or otherwise. It's to the point where I'm scared to get close to men. I'm scared. There are very few men in my life that I am close to, and if any of them started to assume a relationship from me, it's terrifying to me. It is not something I want in my life. And what's hard is I put strong boundaries with men. I'm very upfront. No, that's not happening. I don't feel that way. But many men, there's this narrative, and we see it all the time with Hollywood movies, that, hey, so guys, just stick around and be on the side and be your friend. At some point, she's going to have a weak moment. You can get in there and get what you want, whether it's a relationship or just physical gratification. And I think it's a very predatory behavior. And it's just happened so many times, and men feel so entitled to do it. It's very scary. It's to the point I don't really want to have male friends. Like, if I'm being totally honest I'm not saying that I won't. I love male friends, but it makes me very weary of men. The older I get, the more and more weary of men that I get. And I wish it wasn't the case, but it just is what it is. I'll give you a story of a situation. So there was a guy that this was when I by the way, I was super young, super young. This was during a time that it's a very weird story, but there was a time where I was in a relationship, but the person that I was with couldn't be there. They were away, and we didn't know if and when they were going to be able to be where I was. And the thing with that was not a very good relationship, because that person was very controlling, very, very manipulative, and they ended the relationship, but I still had to stay in the relationship. I know, it's confusing. I've been with a lot of weird guys. And so during this time, I kind of had the freedom to explore myself socially, and I met a lot of people. Funny enough, this was the time that I met, if you guys saw the video about that one guy that I had a hard time getting over, that's when I met this person, and I opened up a lot, in my social life, and I had a lot of fun. And the guy that I met through work. Met him through work, and he was like, "You're a singer?" I play guitar, and I'm like, "Great." I was always wanting to do songwriting because I'm not an instrumentalist. Not at all. So I need help with that. I can write songs and come up with melodies and lyrics, but I need somebody to help me, form the instrumentals. And I was really excited because he said, "Let's work together." And we became friends. And we hung out and we had phone calls. He even met the person that I was with, but not with. Such a weird situation, guys. And so here's what ended up happening. We hung out several times. We had fun. We worked together. Towards the later half of us hanging out, a lot of times towards the end of us hanging out, he would start getting really grumpy and grouchy with me and ignore me. And I didn't really understand. He would just have this behavior shift, and I didn't understand why. Well, one time, I was going to go see some friends play in a concert, and it was like, a 45-minute drive away, and I was very excited. And so I said, "Hey, I'm going to go to this concert. Do you want to come with me?" He's like, "Okay." Now, granted, this was an age where I was a little more, I could be a little more flirtatious. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, or it's maybe what people perceive as flirtatious. So I can also understand in my young way some confusion that might have went on. But we went and we hung out, and I got to see my friends play a live show, and I had a really good time. And there were a couple times that he kind of grabbed my hand and walked with me, but it didn't really occur to me as weird. It was more like, "Let's go sit down," kind of like, we're walking each other. So it didn't really bother me that much. But then here's what happened, and it got really weird. So on the way back, I was super tired, and I was in, the front seat, and I fell asleep. And I woke up, and his hand was way up my leg. And I was scared. I am in his vehicle. We are quite a ways away from where I live. And I'm like, what's happening here? So I push the guy's hand away and then kind of just act like I'm going back to sleep. He does it again. I push his hand away again. This time he takes my hand and he holds my hand. And I'm laying there, and I'm very young, guys. I'm petrified. I'm like, what is happening? First of all, he knows I'm in this weird kind of relationship. Again, stuff you don't realize when you're young. And secondly, he knows I've said repeatedly to this guy, that's not going to happen. That's something I will routinely say to guys, even up front, because I'm just paranoid about guys. Sometimes it can make me look weird, but I'm like, I'd rather everybody be on the same page. And I batted his hand away, and he left me alone, and 5 minutes later, he took my hand again. And finally, I said, what are you doing? He's like, what do you mean, what am I doing? And I was like, stop touching me. And he goes, okay. I fell asleep, and then we were maybe 5-10 minutes away from my house. I woke up, touching me again. So I get out of my vehicle to go home, and this is where my memory gets a little bit foggy. Thank you, illness. But what I remember is when I went home, he was acting weird, and he wasn't really talking to me. And I go up to my apartment, and I'm really irritated, and I'm like, that was really unnerving. What was that? The next day, I got this very long email from him that said, and I can't remember all of it, but it was something to the effect of, I need to decide between him and the guy I was with. And I remember going, there's no decision. I want nothing to do with you in that way. And started saying that I need to choose to either go move to be with this guy or stay here and be with him. It was an angry letter. It was a very weird letter. And I sat there going, we're friends. None of this is your business. And what entitlement do you think you have to tell me how to run my relationship in my life? And here's the weird part. I didn't want to talk to him. I got a phone call a little later, like a few days later, that said, hey, I'm struggling financially. I need money. I was struggling financially. I said, okay, how much do you need? I need $100. Okay, you have to promise to pay me back because I need this money. Okay. Gave him the money, ghosted me. So I call a week and a half, 2 weeks later, and I'm like, what's going on? I need the money. You won't talk to me. And he's with a friend, and he goes, I'm getting chewed out by this chick right now. And then I went off. I'm like, oh, really? I've been pretty respectful. You write me this creepy letter. You're touching all up on me. You took money that you now, oh, by the way, I found out he's actually an alcoholic. Never told me that, didn't know that, and spent the money on booze and couldn't pay me back because in his alcoholism, he was broke. And I'm like, so I gave you money that I needed to pay my rent, thinking you were going to pay me back. You have touched me inappropriately. You have done all of these things. You've demanded that I choose between you and somebody when you are not. You are never a choice. And this guy was a horrible person. And here's the worst part. This was not somebody that had a ton of trauma in their life. This was some young, bored white dude who just felt entitled to take from people. This was during a time I was really struggling financially. Things were really difficult in my life. And I think we might have talked one other time. I think he kind of apologized for his behavior, but I didn't want anything to do with him. That's one story of men I'm friends with that like to assume things. Here's another one that bothers me. If you guys remember, I talked about a guy I couldn't get over. Me and this person were friends for a few years. And from what they told me, I don't know how much of this is true, but they said for the few years we had been friends, they'd had feelings for me and been in love with me the whole time. Now, I remember when I first met them, I did have an attraction, but the moment I found out they have a girlfriend, I have a partner, I shut that off. I'm somebody that if I'm around guys or if I'm in a relationship or if I met somebody, and by the way, I'm rarely attracted to people, but I can adjust my feelings according to the situation's needs. I know some people can't do that, and that's fine. It's just not a big deal for me. There was this guy in high school that I was good friends with. We had known each other when we were younger, and towards the last year of my senior year, I started to develop some feelings. And there was about 2 weeks where it kind of felt awkward for me. And you know what I did? I literally went to him and said, hey, can we talk? So I sat him down. I'm like, look, I'm going through something weird. By the way, this was a very chaotic time in my life. I didn't really have a home to be in. I was half living at my grandma's house. My mom had kicked me out. All my dreams I had worked towards about auditioning in New York for schools were shattered. Very difficult time. So now I look back, I'm like, it makes sense why I started to develop feelings for this person because I think I saw them as a point of stability in my life. And they're also, this guy's a decent guy, no disrespect to him at all. He was very nice. He was the nicest guy. I said, look, I have an issue and as a friend, I need your help. He's like, okay. I'm like, you're my friend and I love you to death. I'm starting to have feelings, but I'm confused by these feelings because I don't want our friendship to change. And I feel like I'm getting awkward around you. I'd rather not have feelings. So I need you to just affirm to me, I don't think you feel the same way, do you? He's like, no. I'm like, good. I'm like, okay, then most likely there's something going on with me and I don't know what that is. And he's like, let's talk. And we had a conversation about, and he knew what was going on in my life at the time. And at the end of it, guys, the feelings I had dissipated and we went right back to being friends. And he was like, and I just thanked him for helping me. I'm like, you helped me through. And he was like, you're welcome. And I get so frustrated because I'm like, why can't things be like that? Why can't we just be open with one another about stuff like that? And I think it's because, and this is the way it works, with people when they have feelings for somebody, they attach all these thoughts and all these wants to what that is supposed to be and what they want from that person and want from that connection, regardless of if the other person wants it, if they know the other person wants it, or it's even healthy for both people. And they will fight to keep those feelings for the fantasy of what could happen. Does that make sense? And I feel like they don't want to, and some people will say, oh, well, I don't want to ruin things or I'm scared to say it. And my thing is, if you are really good friends and as long as you are respectful, come at the person respectfully. And if they care about you, they're going to have a conversation and you guys can get on the same page. I just hate that I've had so many men that I find out have lied to me about certain feelings. And I'd sit there and I go, so were we even ever friends or were you just in the wings waiting for a chance? Which is weird because guys, I'm not like the hottest thing in the room. I don't think that about myself. And I also don't think I'm the greatest catch. It's not like I have a high opinion of myself. And I don't think this is really just, a joy-centered thing. I think this happens to a lot of women. And it makes me very paranoid to have friendships. The guy that I said I had a hard time getting over found out he had feelings for me the whole time. He said very intense feelings. It just got more and more. And I'm like, how are you entertaining feelings for me while you had a girlfriend at that time? Come on. That's not respectful. It's not polite. And I had explained, when we finally had that, come to Jesus conversation about our feelings. And I said, remember, I told you things had changed and transitioned. And when it felt right, we brought that up together. But he said he had always had these feelings because I was like, yeah, things have changed for me. They changed for you. He was like, no, it's always been this way. It's just gotten worse. And I was like, whoa. Now, maybe those were lines I was being fed. Who knows? You have to go check out that video to understand what I'm talking about. But it's happened to me so often that it makes me scared to even try to date men. Not to mention the times men have just assumed they're going to get what they want from me physically and then try to take that when they want. That's happened several times. I know a lot of women go through that. It's a very alarming situation, and I don't think men understand how it really makes us feel when you've had all these secret feelings that you've bottled up and just acted like you were a friend but wanted more. I'm not saying it's wrong to develop feelings for somebody, but what I'm saying is I think the respectful thing to do if that happens, now like in my situation with my friend, the feelings were developing over a couple months, but we only saw each other a couple times in those couple months. It's not like we were around each other every day. Do you know what I'm saying? The friend that things turned into things and I had a hard time getting over them. But if you are around somebody and you just have this like sole intention that you're going to be with them come, HELL or high water, and you're waiting for the right time or you're waiting to get the courage, have the courage and the respect for your friendship and the respect for a woman to come to her and say, hey, I want you to know I'm having these feelings. Do you reciprocate? And then have that conversation. Do you still want a friendship? If you're worried about losing the friendship, have that conversation. I don't want to lose your friendship. And then find a way to adjust your feelings. Or if not, be brave enough to say, you know what? This is what I want. If it doesn't work, that's okay, but I need something else. I feel like we all need to communicate. And this is where I feel like we have failed our young boys and we need to teach them how to be okay with their feelings and how to communicate their feelings. Because we've just allowed them to go about playing these games. And part of why they do is because they don't even realize they're doing it. Number one, society tells them it's okay. How many movies are about a guy who really likes the girl for so long and is just too afraid to say anything? And we've conditioned them and put them in a state of trauma to not communicate, not say how they feel. So I wanted to ask other women if they go through that. And just to tell guys, I'll let you know, many women, including myself, when you do that, it scares us. It scares us because A, you can overpower us, and many men do, and it's not safe, and B, it hurts our feelings because it makes us feel devalued. It makes us feel like you didn't really like us as a person at all. You just wanted to get something from us, whether it's, physical intimacy on some level, or you assumed a relationship. Have the bravery to say how you feel to people. And what's the worst that can happen? They reject you? Okay, then they weren't your friend to begin with. If this person actually cares about you, they will take the time to have a conversation with you, as long as everybody is respectful of how everybody feels and everybody's boundaries. And that's why, I think back with so much love to that former friend that I had in high school who, I think this person really did care about me as a human being. Really did, because that person took the time. And when you're in high school, you're already socially, things are kind of awkward and uncomfortable. The older you get, the better it gets. But for, the fact that we were 17, 18 to be able to have that mature discussion and still remain friends, it makes me so genuinely happy that could have happened. And I just wish that could happen more. Let me give you guys another thing about me. I don't approach people. Actually, I haven't approached anybody in years. Funny enough, when I was huge, I actually had a guy approach me and asked to date me. And I was like, are you talking to me? I was like, you know what I look like, right? And of course they said no. But I'm the kind of person, I never like people. I'm never attracted to people. It almost never happens. It's very rare when it does. But when it does, I'm super direct about it, and there's no games. I will literally go up to a guy and say, hey, listen, I feel drawn to you. I don't know why. I don't know what that means, but I'd love to hang out and figure it out if you want to. You want to hang out at some point? Here's my info. If not, it's not a big deal. I'm not assuming anything from anybody. I just feel drawn to you. Don't know what that means yet. So here's my info. If you feel the same, let me know. If not, it was fun to meet you. Maybe we'll, run into each other again one day. And I'll tell you, I have gotten 100% positive reaction. And there have been women I've not really wanted to date because I don't have feelings towards women like that. But I've gone up to women going, I don't know, I just feel like I should hang out. What do you think? I've always gotten a positive reaction. People always really respect and admire the confidence. Now, when you're a guy, you have to be a little more careful because as a guy, women can be scared. Like me. I am a little more scared of, especially if a guy is coming at me and kind of expressing any kind of feelings, because I have to play that game. Okay, what's he going to do? Is he going to try to hurt me? Is he going to try to manipulate me? Is he going to try to take something from me? We do have to, that's always running in the back of our heads, unfortunately, because there are a lot of good guys, but the good guys can agree with this. There's enough bad guys that it will scare us. So you have to come at that gently and with a little more finesse. But I think being open and upfront, direct and honest and respectful is a good thing. I have a fun story, and I promise I'll end this, but I remember I was on a marketing trip, and I was on a tour, and I was in San Francisco. By the way, I love the city of San Francisco. It's turned into a crap hole now, but this was 10 years ago. It's such a beautiful city. I love the West Coast. I love the West. It just makes me so sad how, it's just been decimated with all the politics and the BS, but it's such a beautiful place. And I went to a club. I rarely do. There was a person that I was on the tour with, good friend, really like him. And I just keep having more and more flashbacks of stupid things that have happened to me with men, guys. And I remember I was in a club, and this one guy actually had the confidence to come up and talk to me. And I was like, okay, cool. And he started do you guys remember that guy, the pickup artist on VH1, Mystery? Mr. and then E, but it's supposed to be he's a mystery. And it was all these tips and tricks on how to manipulate women to get to like you. It was a reality game show where you got to learn these things and win how to get women to like you or have feelings for you or get in the sack with them. What a crap show. See, this is the kind of stuff where I tell people, even 10, 15 years ago, the world was a very different place. It was very much catered toward predatory behavior. But I remember watching that series and going, there was I think 2 seasons of it. And I was like, this is a crazy show. But I learned a lot about what these men do. And I started to see this guy, and he started doing these things where he would lightly touch me on the shoulder or kind of lightly try to pull a hair away from my face. And he kept doing these little things. And I can't remember all of them now. Thank you, Illness, but I was picking up. I'm like, you're trying to use pickup artist moves on me. I will tell you guys, if you think that stuff, to men, if you think that stuff works, the biggest turnoff for a woman is when she looks at you and realizes you're being inauthentic. Unless it's a woman who likes inauthenticity and will just take any attention she can get. But most women, any woman worth her salt is going to want somebody who's authentic. So just be you. Be you, but be respectful. Be kind. Have courage. That's one of my favorite things to do now. I think I told you guys this in a recent video. A good friend of mine, when it came to me going back to YouTube, he said, I'm going to sum all your fears and anxieties up for you. Have courage. Be brave. You're good at being brave. Y'all, be brave. What's the worst that can happen? Somebody rejects you? Who cares? There's like billions of other people on the planet. As long as you do right by you and you try to do right by everybody else and you're respectful of everybody else, then you got nothing to worry about, in my opinion, because everything else is just a learning experience or an experience in itself. Okay, guys, if you like this video, tell me what you think about all this. Give me a thumbs up. Sound off in the comments. I'm actually really interested to hear what you guys have to say. Do you guys have experience like this? Do you have these kind of experiences with your male friends? All of a sudden, just bellowing out, they have all these feelings out of nowhere, and you're like, yeah, I don't feel the same. You've never told me any of this, and I've set my boundaries with you before. What are you doing? And does it make you as well kind of feel paranoid about having male friendships or relationships or getting close to men? Let me know. I'm curious what you guys think. Or share this content with people you think might enjoy it. Otherwise, I think I'm going to get out of here. Me and my rainbow sweater are all talked out. I'm still getting my voice back, so I got to be a little bit careful. But okay, guys, I love y'all. I appreciate every single one of you as always. So I want to wish everybody so well. Tell you guys to take care. Lots of blessings. And I'm giving everybody lots of mental hugs. Mwah, and air kisses. Lots of love, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye, guys.